she was raised and brought up this way, and you were raised and brought up from two different minds to two different thought processes of how you go from finances to raising kids to dating. Yeah. It's all different. The mistake made is understanding what those expectations are and communicating those expectations. Marriage is a business relationship.
You know what the best version of peace of mind is?
What's that?
Staying single.
Oh.
What up, YouTube? I am your host, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews. Back in here with one more video. Joined today by a very, very special guest.
How you doing today, bro?
Man?
Doing good.
Doing all right?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Can I start with something before we get started? I'm sorry.
Come on.
It's your show.
What's up, brother?
But I gotta just stop for a quick second, bro. Last time I came here, you had less than 10,000 subscribers.
I did.
Bro, I was looking at your page.
Yeah.
And I think you just hit a milestone.
I did.
We ain't at the end yet.
Yeah. No.
But you hit a big milestone.
Yeah, thank you.
Bro, I want to say 50,000 subscribers, bro.
50,000.
Bro.
Thank you, bro.
Started from the bottom.
Now we here.
Bro. That's content.
Listen.
From me to you, man.
Hey.
Keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate you, bro. And the thing is like, I got to say thank you. You know what I mean? Like, you were back in the trenches with me in 2019 a couple of times that you came through and we did content together. So, like, without that start, there would not be this future. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, very much. Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Hey, and thank y'all as well, because without y'all liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, and all of that good stuff, YouTube algorithm won't show me respect. So go down, hit that like button right now, throw a comment down up in there.
Help my man get to 100,000. Send it to your friend.
I want that check mark.
Send it to your coworker.
I want to be verified.
Send it to your mama.
Yeah.
Send it to your daddy.
Or your group text.
And your group text.
Yeah.
Or even the lady in your life.
Her as well. She needs to hear this information we're about to go into.
Maybe.
All right, so listen, bro, the last time that we got up here and we had a conversation, you introed to me things that were going on in your life. We had a conversation about it. I said, brother, when you are ready to come up and have a conversation, let's absolutely do it. Mm-hmm. I think that your experiences can help someone out. It can help us think more clearly about the decisions that as men we are making in our lives, so that we can make more informed and better decisions into the future and critically think about those decisions to make sure we are our most happiest, our most content, and our most joyous throughout the entirety of our life. You shared with me that you were going through the big D word.
What, decision? Making decisions here? Is that what we're talking about? Determinations, destiny. What D word are you talking about?
He fooling. Divorce. Okay. Now, let's start off this conversation. Do you want to go into kind of just the baseline facts on kind of how long were you guys in a relationship? How long were you married? And then we can hop forward to the end. Because here's the thing. I want to get into the lessons learned. I want to get into things that you wish that you knew when the relationship started or the marriage started. Mm-hmm. I know you have two beautiful girls right now.
Yes.
So things that in being a co-parent, right? Like, I want to hit on it all because you're the first one that has come to the channel that is post-divorce, recently divorced, and I feel like we just want to be all enlightened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so, I mean, we can go in there a lot of different ways. In total, we were together 14 years. We were married 9 years, and even though we're not together, there's still love there, and there's always going to be love and respect there. And just as a lot of relationships happen, work and stuff like that, sometimes they may not work out the way that you anticipated. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at and stuff like that. And it's not, it's not a bashing thing. It's not I'm pro-marriage. I think that I'll be married again at some point, but I'll have some different questions that I might ask on the front end.
Okay.
And maybe even on the back end and during. And that's I know we'll talk about. But no, two beautiful girls, and, we're all a part of the same family. And that's the main thing. And the main thing for me from the healing process is how do we move forward?
Yeah.
How do we work together in a relationship? How do we have better communication? How do we learn from this scenario? And we don't have to be enemies.
Yeah.
And so from you talking about lesson learned and stuff like that, that's the whole point, is that we should be able to get to a point in life where if you have disagreements at work, you have different agreements in your family, you have different agreements with your boys and your family and your brothers and stuff like that, you should be able to learn from that. And so let's talk about lessons learned, but that's the gist of the background.
So let's talk about the lessons learned, but we're just real quick. So 14 years together. So you had like a 5-year vetting period.
Yeah.
Okay. So 5 years to understand this is going to be for the rest of your life.
Yeah, we about 3 years courting, dating. That's what you want to say. They were courting, dating 3 years, but that was long distance. And that's another lesson learned too. And then about a year engagement right in between there, and then officially 9 years on the books as far as actually being married.
Okay, so let's just drop right into the lessons learned. Like, so you mentioned one thing already, which was there was a component of long distance, right?
Yep.
Like, was that a lesson learned? And feel free to keep on.
Definitely long distance learned. I mean, we had known each other, before obviously we got together and courted and stuff like that. She was in a different state. I'm obviously in a different state, and so we had distance there. We had about 3 hour distance.
For how long?
3.5 years, about 3.5 years that we were there.
For all of it?
Yeah, for all of it. Yeah. So that's a big lesson learned too, where we didn't have an extended period of time where we were actually together more than, I would say, 3 or 4 days at a time in that 3.5 years. And then you go to the year of you're engaged and you're with that person, but she was still long distance. We still didn't live together. So we didn't live together literally until about a month or two, a few months right before we actually got married.
Yeah.
So, lesson learned, understanding how to do it. Now, should you shack up, should you not? That's a lot of people have difference of opinions on that. My opinion now is that you still shouldn't, even going through what I went through. Would I do it again? I wouldn't shack up with somebody if I wasn't ready to make a commitment. Now, a commitment doesn't necessarily mean a ring for everybody. For me, it does. And so if you're ready to put a ring on it, engagement, stuff like that, then you can move in. So the thing that I would do different in my scenario is I wouldn't do long distance because that ain't for me.
Yeah.
So at least I would have some city time with the person and be able to understand that. But then also from the engagement, then you move in, I feel, and then you get a chance to learn the nuance. Because the difference is, if I have an issue with you, I can always, I'll talk to you later, and I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
When you're living with somebody,
you got to deal with it.
You got to deal with those issues that go on right now, the fluctuations of the attitudes here and there. I can't just walk around and say, hey, I'll talk to you later and hang up the phone. That's a big deal. And so when you're living with them day to day and you hear about that and you hear this and you can see how they react to you and they can see the body language and all, that's totally different than being on the telephone.
Right. You can see how they problem solve.
Oh, yeah.
In the moment. So let me ask you a question, because I think, like, when I originally heard you say long distance, I think what can happen in a long distance relationship is that you start to kind of build this fantasy in your mind of what they would be like in a living together, yep. Right? Like, and if you're in that component of meeting them, and getting to know them, and you have high praise, and right, like, so you take that high praise and you would logically try to bring that to, well, once y'all together living in the same and cohabitating, it would be the same. So but it sounds like it's not the same.
And that's where I missed it.
Okay.
That's because you have a 3-day weekend, everything is great.
Yeah.
If you little arguments you have, we'll get over that and you're good. You have dinner, you cooking, you're going out to festivals, you're having a good time just being with them because you only got two days.
Yeah.
To see each other.
It's always a honeymoon.
It's always a honeymoon. Then you go back and you're like, good. Then you get on the phone, everything is good.
Yeah.
But you ain't got to see them for another 5, 6, 7 days. Or another 2 weeks, or another 3 weeks. So then again, I think you hit it right there on the head, is that you create a false narrative in your head. Like, maybe the issues that I should be focusing on they're not really that big.
You know what? And then also too, you are probably, not you specifically, but in general, with that fantasy that you're creating in your head, you think that when you're together, it'll be easier to solve problems. And sometimes that could be more farther from the truth, right? Like, so let me ask you another question too. Did you guys go through like marriage counseling prior?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We did.
What's the marriage counseling process like? Is that like a couple of months, weeks?
It's different for everybody. It depends on your process and everything. We didn't do an extensive one, so I don't want to paint the picture that we went through months and months and, hey, we went through all that. Everybody does it different depending upon your religion, or even not even religion, even if you want to just go pay for a counselor or something like that. But we did a little bit of pre-marriage counseling and stuff like that, and then our pastor that married us took us through some steps and some things you need to consider and understand that. And the thing about that, one of the biggest lessons that I learned about that is that this is like a common sense thing, but you don't really think about it till you see it. It's kind of like writing your dreams down for your goals in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Is that he sat us down and then on one side of the board asked about her mom, her dad, her sister, her family members, how they grew up, and he got a whole background of her. How close were you? How many kids they got? And got a whole background.
It's a great question.
And then on my side, same thing. How long was your dad? How was your relationship with your dad? How was your relationship with your mom? Were they together? Are they separated? What's your relationship with your sister? All that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you go through your whole background, then you sit there and you look, and you say, look at the boards. So on this side of the board, you say, oh, this is how her background is. All this shit. You say, when you have a disagreement, you got to take into consideration, she was raised and brought up this way, and you were raised and brought up from two different minds to two different thought processes of how you go from finances to raising kids to dating.
Yeah.
It's all different. So you got to come to that.
So you knew that. So they call that out in the marriage council.
Yeah.
Okay. It didn't go up as a red flag
at that point.
Let me ask why.
Didn't really think about it. We were closer to we were already engaged.
Oh, so it was going to happen no matter what. So the marriage council was just a checkbox. It wasn't something as to see if you should do it. It was just something to do before you did it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a lesson learned if I didn't ever heard one.
Yeah, I mean, you should definitely take the time to invest. It's like getting to know somebody.
Yeah.
And being okay with if they don't check the boxes for you, that's okay that we don't have to be together, because everybody is not necessarily meant to be together.
Yeah. And
that's where I think you can lose a lot of yourself in there, is that thinking you're creating a false narrative in your head.
Yeah.
That this person is for me.
Let me ask you another question too before we get back into the lessons learned. Was there anything regarding whether it be your upbringing or her upbringing that you could call out as perhaps now that you're looking back at it as a key indicator as to how your relationship would not last forever?
Say that again, make sure I understood it.
Is there anything that was brought up from how either she was brought up or how you were brought up that would have led you to believe that this relationship would not have lasted into perpetuity?
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of that, but I don't think it's wrong that she grew up a certain way and I grew up a certain way.
Yeah, just is what it is.
It is what it is, but I think it's how you deal with your challenges.
Yeah.
And how you go about that and you address those. So if you see something like that, whether it be finances, I keep your own, you keep your own savings account, I keep my own savings, we don't combine the money.
Yeah.
Stuff just like that simple conversation.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? And that could be a red flag in your head, but you don't bring it up.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Then if in your background, there's a lot of divorce already in families.
Yeah.
And then in their families, there's a little bit more stability where you got a lot more people to stand together. Okay, we're going to ride with you. Well, we're not going to ride with you. If you start acting up, I'm out.
Yeah.
And that type of mindset, how do you deal with that?
That's
and
a
then
fact.
two parents being in the house, one parent being in the house. How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
And then so there's all these things that you think about, and you say, so what's your line? We all got these lines.
Yeah.
These lines. This is my line. This is a deal breaker here. You either do this or do. And I think having more conversations, a lesson learned for me, is having those more conversations on the front end, and not changing what her view is, not changing that, but just deciding if that's what you want to deal with.
Woo! You speaking scripture
Bro.
right now. You speaking. This is a man that has learned a couple of things, man.
Bro.
And the reason why I asked that question is because it actually popped into my head. I had let's call it a situationship a couple of years ago.
Not an entanglement.
I had an entanglement a couple of years ago, and I just when I watched her decision making capabilities, it and how she
dealt with
it and dealt with talking with and to a man. And if I look at the way that she was raised, and it was much more a single parent home, raised by mother strong, independent, empowered, does it all herself, right? And so she did not see her mother interact in positive ways with a man in the house, with a strong dude in the house. You see what I'm saying? So in her interactions and dealing with me, it was certain things that she would not to be cooperative with somebody, right? To know when to nurture through a conversation, to know when to help me in a conversation, right? Does
she even know how to do that?
No, had no idea. But a lot of the conversation in talking about relationships is about being married. So right, like I think back to, do you want to do it for the wedding or do you want to do it for the marriage, right? Because what would be your role then, right? What's the benefit to me as a man if you don't understand how to be a good marriage person, right? Like if you don't know what that role would be. So that's the reason why I brought that up. So I don't know if you...
I think it's expectations. I think you have to have expectations and have a conversation of what your expectation is. I mean, from sexually to financially to raising kids. What's your expectation? Am I supposed to do everything on the outside of the house? You do everything on the inside of the house?
Facts.
Are you supposed to raise the kids and I'm supposed to just make the bacon?
Yeah.
Or vice versa. And the roles are so much changed now in 2020 and beyond. Is that women are different than back in the day when our parents were growing up and stuff like that. So you have to have that in consideration and be able to let them be entrepreneurs and be businesswomen and stuff like that. You got to think like that. But the roles are always changed, and it's okay whatever the role is. It's just a matter of having a conversation about what that role is going to be. So what's your expectation day one? What's your expectation on how often we date in a week in a 7-day time frame? How often we have sex in a 7-day week time frame? What does that matter to you? Does not or in a month? Who pays the bills? You may be an accountant, and I may just be good with money, but you're an accountant. You feel a certain type of way because I want to handle the money because I'm the man.
Yeah.
What are those roles? And everybody's different because of how you're raised.
And it's going to change, which is why marriage petrifies me. Because I'm like, when you think about it, right? Like,
go deeper.
Because you're getting into a lifelong contract with somebody for the rest of your life, based off of the expectations that it's almost like in order to do that, you can't have expectations, because at the point that you have expectations on when you get in, but then you're locking two people together. And then when you're locking two people together, you are now decentivized to meet these particular expectations. And you are more so incentivized to, if you have something that shifts or change within your mood, let's say that your sexual appetite is no longer what it was at 26 as it was at 36 or 46, and that's only one part. That could be male or female that can happen to. That expectation that you set up at 26 now is kiboshed and there's no way out. Because you signed a contract of monogamy at 26.
Well, I would respectfully disagree in the sense of you just hit it. You said it's going to always change. So you're contractually married to that person, but the conversation is always ever changing. You can always change that perspective, like you said. When you come in here, that's why having the conversations. And to your point earlier, understanding her background on the front end and how she deals with those conflicts. So you should be able to come and have that conversation. And what I'm saying is that day one, when you come in, you say, I expect this. That may not be the same expectation in 10 years, but it's how you deal with that. So you're not locked into what you were locked in day one.
Got it. So so you're saying have an expectation that it will shift.
Correct.
And that petrifies me, because if the expectation is that it will shift, then why get married? Because
you're not the same person as you are every year. You change and evolve as an individual person every day.
So let me ask you another question. I get it. So like when you go into an organization, right? You sign your name on a dotted line for the roles and the expectations of the organization for a job, for a career, for a path. And they say these would be your roles and responsibilities. Let's say you get in there, and let's say a year later, you you live in your life, and then all of a sudden they flip the entire script on you, for better or for worse.
I've done that.
For better or for worse, they flip it on you.
Yep.
And now you have to conform to what they tell you to because you have signed the name. Now, here's the difference. In an organization, you can just get up and leave and go to another organization.
Correct.
In a marriage, you can't, or you suffer the financial consequences.
I would beg to differ too, because you can. It's called a conversation, and you have to have a balance of meeting in between of what it is. You don't have to do anything.
But conversations would entail that they still elicit continuing in a marriage.
Yeah, and I think you can still do that. Again, so let me go this way with it. So there's something in your core that makes you who you are, that makes you happy.
Yeah,
I believe working out is a good thing for you. You
Facts.
You're a very creative type person and stuff like that. So if the person that meets you says they see you as that creative, somebody likes to work out, somebody's very into the finances, doing stuff like that, and that brings you happiness.
Yeah.
Why would somebody want to take that away from you if they're truly happy? So if that's the thing that makes you happy, that should be able to be fun. Now, what if this other person gets in and you find out this is something that makes them happy?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. It could be, if they read books, if they like to, take a women's trip or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you come into there and you say, well, I didn't sign up for that.
Yeah.
How do you meet in the middle?
Well, so I'm with you, and I would say the difference is in that analogy is it's not things that you bring in doing yourself. It's things that you need to do well together. Yeah. So like,
that's a good one. So let's say cooking.
Okay.
You come in, the expectation is that I don't do no cooking. You do all the cooking, and y'all agree upon that.
Yeah, and if that shifts,
and now it shifts because a baby's here, and I ain't cooking no more. Mm-hmm. You as a partner should say, okay, I understand that. I may not be the best cook here, but I can help out with that now because there's another element that wasn't there before.
You threw a caveat in there, and that was baby. Right. So you mean at the point that a family is formed, then which at the end of the day, I think if you're gonna have babies, you should be married, right? Like I tell the dudes on the channel all the day, it's less complication and risk in your life. But you're saying at the point then as you are locked in order to maintain the sanctity of the home, that you conform to her shift in what her expectation is.
Right. But mistake made is understanding what those expectations are and communicating those expectations on both sides. What's going to make you happy? Because there's a lot of shit. I mean, if you're a first-time parent, it's different than, already having a couple kids already. Yeah. And then, first-time marriage is different than having a second marriage. So your expectations are always going to be different, but communicating those and understanding what you need in that moment. Because it may only be that you need to do this for a couple months. Or it may be like it's a total shift. I've never done this ever before in my life. Now kids are present. You got to do this in perpetuity.
Into perpetuity. Yeah. Well, here's the thing is that I think that no matter what, at the end of the day, people can shift. Right? Like, so that's why I was saying that maybe there should not be an expectation if you really want a successful marriage. Because at the point that you expect someone to do someone, then you are let down when they can no longer do that. Right. But at the same time, it's almost like if you want to have a family and you want to do it in a marriage, don't have expectations. And at the point that you do not have expectations, you can never be let down. It can never lead to an argument. You can't get angry at anything, right? You can't let your emotions impact you. And then you could try to make it work for the sake of the kids. But then I go back to the level and degree of happiness within that outside of, listen, at the end of the day, like I hold myself accountable for, right, the expectations that I set for myself, and I would expect the other person to do the same. But I still feel like you're not leading a life of pure happiness if you do not have expectations of people. But it seems like at the point that you have expectations can lead to your downfall in a marriage, because that's when the roads can cross.
So there's a lot to unpack in there when you say that. I think you got to have the expectation, because if you don't, like you said, then you're just left to whatever happens. Yeah. But then to your point, if you have the expectation they change, then what am I going to do? You need to have the basic expectation right now that I'm going to respect you as a man. I'm going to respect you as my husband and my wife. Yeah. In your role, I'm going to respect you as we're going to even if we agree to disagree, but we're going to have a conversation about stuff. We can talk about things. We can talk about things that matter and stuff like that. So those expectations, not necessarily, if you're putting somebody up here on a holy level, because they're going to let you down every time because they're human. And so those expectations, I agree with you. You should never hold somebody higher than thou are. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to let you down every single time. But you can hold the expectations that if we're coming together in a contract as a business, look, I think this is a big lesson learned. Coming in as a business relationship. Facts. Marriage is a business relationship. If you come in as I'm gonna be business, and then everything else I think falls into play after that. Yeah. Because if it's a business right now and we're business partners, then you do what's best for the business. Yeah. Whatever's best for the business. If you got a business and you're doing stuff right there and you sign a contract as a business partner, and this is your enterprise. Yeah. What are we going to do for this business?
Well, which is why business partnerships, I would never suggest anybody get into a business partnership ever. Business partnerships are some of the most ugliest ends to friendships, to relationships, forming a partnership with another human being, because humans be humans. Right. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm using the same analogy time and time again. I mean, how many small claims courts have you seen of business partners falling out because of dropping the ball on expectations? So it's like, whether it's business partnership or if it's marriage, getting into a contract with somebody and having expectations. So listen, let me ask you a question. Let's say that you were a business owner, and let's say you created a role and had all of these expectations. And let's say you hire the employee, and in the first year they fulfilled all those obligations with crazy colors, right? What about year 2 when they decide not to anymore? Now, let's not say that you can't fire them. How would you feel if you couldn't fire them? Unless it was significant financial impact to yourself.
Right.
Did
you have a conversation, and you as the business owner, what's best for the business?
Yes.
And then you take their qualities, the best points of them.
Yeah. You've been having needs improvement discussions. You've been having quarterly MBOs. I hate to use acronyms, but you've been having year-end discussions, and they just like and they rolling up to the year-end discussion like, what you gonna do? You married to me.
Well, you always have a choice. And so you can you're married, but you always have a choice, and you have to control your happiness. There's not a price that you can pay for peace of mind, and that's in business, that's in marriage, that's in life. And so you got to be able to manage your crazy.
You know what the best version of peace of mind is?
What's that?
Staying single.
Oh, come on. Stop it. There's so much more to deal with when you're single, man. You can have that, and you can be single, and you can do all that, man. I'm pro-marriage. Yeah. I get it. And you don't want to deal with the headaches, and you don't want to do all that type of stuff, man. But it's really it's about communication. And it's really about an understanding of that. And if the person that you choose to be with understands what brings you value, and they really respect you as a person. I mean, that's the basis of when you lose that respect. That's when I think the D word comes in and you start separating. Because at the end of the day, in situations when you disagree, it's really the disrespect and the value load in that person where you be like, I can't deal with that no more.
Facts.
And so I think you can put up with a lot in an agreement, in a marriage, and a contract if you still have that genuine respect. And that's where I think the basis of a relationship. So you say, I'm nervous and I'm scared. And the other thing too, man, you bring about what you speak about. So, if you keep saying I'm scared about something, I don't want to do this, the chances are you're going to find somebody in that courting phase that brings about, honestly, what you don't want. So you need to start painting a picture of what you do want.
But I want to. No, here's what I want to do. I want to maintain my level of happiness. Here's the thing: the monkey wrench is children. The monkey wrench is children, right? Like, because ideally, for me, it's at the point that children come about, like I have an addictive personality, right? Like right now, YouTube is my dark, twisted, beautiful addiction right now. Okay. But if kids were to come, that would be my addiction, and I would want to do it in a 2-parent household. So to me, that's the monkey wrench. However, my goal right now is to make sure that I'm doing things in all of my power to maximize my time, to give myself enough time to build an empire, at the same time of having my most or creating and promoting my most healthiest and happiest and joyous version of myself, right?
And that's it right there. Stop.
Go ahead.
Right there. Because when you get with somebody, that's what you talk about. And you have the conversation that change. Why follow me? You get your cup filleth thy cuppeth.
Yeah.
Yourself. Find your own happiness.
Yeah.
Yourself. I can be happy with yourself. That's why, you like being single. Yeah. Because you got your happiness. You can work out when you want to work out. You can eat what you want to eat. You can walk around, do whatever you want to do, come and go as you please. That's your happiness. But get happy by yourself. Then find somebody way over here who's happy by themselves without you. Biggest nugget I found. Find somebody who don't need to be taken care of and take care of. Find somebody who don't need you. They got their money.
Do you know how rare that is? Listen. Because listen, the mindset of someone who doesn't need you, but wants to be there. That's a unique mindset.
There's a whole bunch.
Because you have to, because you're working with and managing a person who grew up in an era of INDEPE, right, and everything that it is like within that. You're finding them, right? But they want to be there in order to actually be there. But not to mention, are they actually there for you, or are they there for the wedding, or are they there for the children? Because things change.
And that's what I'm saying. That's improper expectations. Going in there, I just want to just for the wedding, and I want to do all that type of stuff because that'll go. Yeah. And you'll be done. Or just I just want to be there because I want to be at this job, and I just want to just go here. No. You go in because you're happy, and when you're happy with yourself, like be happy. Like you go to the movies by yourself and just have a good time.
Oh yeah.
Do you watch TV by yourself and just have a good time? Do you go work out by yourself and have a good time?
Yeah.
Happy. You find then you find somebody else who's happy. See, they gotta understand, because if they come around and they see all the stuff that you're doing,
Yeah.
and they're saying, "Oh, I just want to hang around him,"
Or they want me to prioritize them over this other.
yeah. That's the downfall.
Which crushes them.
Yes.
When they realize they're
Because
priority number 5.
Nobody wants to be picked over that.
Yeah.
Now the key in that too, you don't just tell them that.
Yeah. You don't.
In your head, you know that, but you don't. No. But you gotta have that. And you gotta have respect, because I don't want somebody. I don't want to be somebody's number one.
Yeah.
I mean, that may be harsh to say.
No. Me neither.
For me personally, I want you to have a relationship with the Savior.
But I don't think no one should have another human being as their number one.
But people do. That's what I'm saying. So when you talk about hierarchy,
They all fail.
you gotta have a life.
Have a life.
And so my prerequisite for the next relationship is you gotta have a life.
Woo!
You gotta have a life.
Listen.
You gotta have a life and have a life. And I want you to have a life. Go have a life.
Here's what I'm hearing.
Tell me about your life.